Hello. So a big concern has been getting learning levels back to pre-pandemic. What's your biggest concern going into this school year, and how do you plan to address it?
Yeah, so as we've been talking about, the Center for Assessment looked at our data and told us that it's going to take anywhere from 3 to 5 years. So we know we have been really working hard to get students in front of teachers as much as we can. For example, in Providence, this April break, we had session for the kids. It's the first time we've ever done that. During the summer, we've had multiple summer opportunities for kids. And this coming year, which is the most exciting, we got an extra 30 minutes in the contract, which will equal an extra 15 days. And Providence is the only district statewide that actually is doing that. So we're really excited about that. And all the other districts are also providing summer programming, after school, really focusing in on getting high quality curriculum in front of the kids, making sure that teachers get instruction on reading. As you know, we have the right to read legislation that passed. So our teachers K to 8 will get professional development on the science of reading. So there's a lot of things in the works right now that are meant to support our kids.
I know another big issue has been chronic absenteeism. Talk to me about that and where we go from here.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if parents or everybody else understands, 2 days a month will equal your child being chronically absent. That means 18 days a year. And that is a problem. 18 days a year equals chronically absent. And that's almost like missing a month of school. So there's research that says that anything after 9 days has a negative impact on student learning. So we're really going to have a big campaign around student absenteeism, student attendance. We really want to shoot for your kids not to be absent at all. And I know that sometimes there's legitimate reasons, but if the child is not in school, they cannot learn. So for us, that's really important. If your child is chronically absent, they have less of a chance of graduating from high school, less of a chance of reading on grade level by 3rd grade. So I know that there are sometimes there are situations, but if you need help, if a parent needs help, reach out to the school because we can support them. But there are things that you can do that will be very helpful. This year we're giving out a calendar that you can put on your refrigerator, the parents can put on the refrigerator, and they can track. Because sometimes, you're absent one day in September, you don't think about it, then in November, but those days add up. So we want parents to be able to visually see, because every day that they miss, so if a teacher is teaching, let's just say, the basics of some math, they're going to continue. And your child has missed that, and they're going to be lagging behind. So it's really important that your child is there as much as possible. And if for any reason your child has to be out, that you get the information that has been missed.
Definitely. So the governor launched Learn 365, the initiative to help kids post-pandemic have, essentially extra learning time outside of school. This is a long-term initiative. Yes. How are we going to be able to measure that or track the success of it?
Well, everybody wrote a grant to be able to get the funding, and we will be able to track what they're doing compared to what they said they were going to do in their grant. It is very exciting because there's more learning time for our kids, there's more time on task. They will have academic support as well as helping with attendance. And it's a great thing that everybody, not just the school system, is responsible for the students' education. The mayors, everybody is going to be really paying attention to the attendance, making sure that the kids get to school. We're really excited about the partnership. It just extends the reach a lot further than we normally have. It's hard for schools to be able to do all of it. So now we have partners throughout the state.
How do we make sure kids are actually taking advantage of these programs? If, for say, I guess you say there's already after-school activities that they're not taking advantage of, why do we think they'll take part in Learn 365?
Well, one reason is that some of this is going to be really fun. I also think that we are really pushing this year for our kids to get that extra support. So even the fact that we're talking about it right now is a big deal. Parents need to understand and talk to their teachers, where is my child? Where should they be? Where are they? What else can they get? where are the opportunities, what are the free opportunities that are available to me? We're really lucky that in our state we have so many free opportunities, and I want parents to take advantage of it. We all know that after the pandemic, none of us are the same. The kids are not the same. They need the social emotional support, they need the academic support, and these are multiple opportunities throughout the state, because there are places where there aren't as many resources, but now they're going to be front and center and available to everyone. So please call your municipality, see what's available, look at the grants and what's going to be available in your community, because the governor has made this really a priority.
Absolutely. A big measurement of student success has been RICAS scores throughout the years. Those are modeled after MCAS. In Massachusetts, though, there's a new push to do away with the MCAS. People say that it's not an accurate representation of student achievement. Is that something you think could happen in Rhode Island?
Well, I think that, we're not having that conversation right now. They may be having that in Massachusetts. I speak to the commissioner frequently. I think, we're not there yet. But I will tell you that what really measures a lot of the progress, aside from the MCAS, has been the NAEP scores. And Massachusetts really is high on the NAEP, so the assessment measures what the kids are learning. We have not been having that conversations. We know that our kids continue to make progress. They made progress last year. We're hoping that we can see that in the the RICAS this year as well.
Switching to the state takeover of Providence Public Schools, we're a year out from that ending. Are we on track for that to end? Do you think it will have to be extended?
Right now we're looking at what's happening. There has been a lot of progress. Obviously, because of the pandemic, we would have liked to have been further along. But we have seen things that we've never seen in Providence. For example, we have 2 5-star pre-Ks. That has never happened. This is the first time. We have created more CTE opportunities. So much so that some kids are coming from other districts to Providence. We're really excited about that. We had kids, I was there last week, and some kids transferred into Providence. So we have the fire academy, we have cybersecurity, we have different opportunities, we have a common curriculum across the board. We have PD that the teachers actually said in survey works that they are excited about, feel like they've gotten a lot of support. And for the first time, Providence outperformed the rest of the state in terms of parent involvement. Parents felt that they were front and center and that they were being included. That's never happened before. And those are some of our measures that we set for ourselves through the TAP. The community came up with those measures. So we're well on our way. Are we there yet? No. So I think that, there are more conversations to be had. We still have another year to kind of look at where we're going and to continue to push forward.
In terms of teacher shortages, where do things stand with that? Is that still a big issue going into the school year?
Yeah, it's a big issue statewide. It's a big issue nationwide. I was with some colleagues in New York City at the beginning of this week, and it is something that was difficult before the pandemic. The pandemic has exacerbated the teacher shortage. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge. And that's why, as a state, we had a statewide job fair. Different districts are having, they continue to hire. That's something that's happening because it is very difficult. Prior to the pandemic, there was one district that told me that they couldn't offer physics because they didn't have a physics teacher. So I think we're getting creative. We're going to have here at RIDE a big online service that everyone could come in, see what's available in our state. So we're working on that. We will continue to have the job fair. I know that Providence is going to have a job fair August 24th. So it is a challenge. It is a challenge, but we are creating incentives. We had reciprocity with the eastern states so that teachers can come here. We're selling the state as much as we can. This is a wonderful place. And I have to say, this is the most rewarding career. If anyone's out there doing something else, this is the career you want to be in. If you have an area of expertise and you want to join us, come see what it will take for you to be a teacher. This is the career where you change lives. And I can't tell you, it is the greatest satisfaction that any human being can have.
I want to talk school construction. So it's no secret, inflation, high interest rates right now. There's also supply chain issues. How does this impact school construction projects?
Well, right now we are moving along steadily. We have put a lot of effort into school construction projects. There have been some delays because of some of the challenges that we've had after the pandemic, but we're on track. We're very excited about a lot of the changes that are happening throughout the state. A lot of effort has been put into that. And our newest endeavor, which are the food trucks in 13 districts, that's pretty exciting. Exciting because we're expanding CTE. Rhode Island is known for culinary, like this is a foodie state, and we want our kids to be able to exemplify that. They also get to write business plans, they design. It is pretty amazing what we're doing with our kids right now, and all that is school construction money. It is really meant to expand the opportunities that kids have in their environment. So we're moving along. Our state has really made a commitment, and we see it. We see it in all the schools that you walk into nowadays.
Yeah. Have any projects had to be delayed because of inflation?
No, not at this moment. No, we have not had that. We have been moving along. And it's exciting for the districts because the state pays 91%. So 91 cents for every dollar that the municipalities put in. That's pretty amazing. And not all states are making this a priority, but for us it really is.
Across the state, we've seen declining enrollment in public schools. What's the long-term impact of this?
Yeah, it's something that we're all grappling with, every single state. Especially during the pandemic, we saw this decline, and many of the kids have not come back. Many of them are being homeschooled, or they have moved into other areas. And we also anticipated that, the birth rate is lower now as well. So all those things are really having an impact in our school system. School districts may have to get smaller. School systems, there's some districts that are combining schools. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Right now, we've been lucky that our state has held districts harmless, and we're creating an off-ramp so that the impact is not felt on the ground as much. But it's an area that I think we're all concerned about.
That kind of goes into my next question. Can we expect any more consolidations or school closures in the future?
Not that I know of as of yet. That's not something that we have been looking at. We are looking at building new buildings, but I think in different communities they're having conversations about that, but they're in early stages.
Okay. And those conversations that you mentioned, how would that impact federal funding?
Well, we get federal funding based on student enrollment, so that's part of the worry, because as the dollars that come in are less, we're going to have to really think about the way that we're structuring schools a little differently. But we're not there yet. We're excited. The state has stepped up, and right now, we made progress last year. So I am so hopeful because our teachers really have stepped up. Our superintendents, our principals, our APs, everybody has stepped up to the plate. And we have this commitment that we're really going to knock it out of the park. I know the governor has given us the 2030 goal. We hope to exceed that goal because our kids deserve that, and everybody has really pushed hard to be in the place that we are. Hopefully you and I will get to sit down after our RICAS scores come back and really talk about where we go from there. The place that I want parents to really think about is all those kids that were born during the pandemic that were home in the earlier grades. Remember, the earlier grades is where kids learn how to read and they get their basic skills. So we have to have an emphasis, especially on the lower grades. So you asked me before, taking advantage. Parents, please take advantage of that. I promise they'll have a good time, they'll learn. Kids love to learn. They just do.
It kind of all starts at home.
That's right.
Another really exciting thing is the new graduation requirements. Talk to me about what that looks like.
Yeah, and I like to remind people how that started. So we have been working with XQ and working with different schools on how we reimagine high school. And in one of the sessions in particular that I can recall, the teachers and the students just started crying because we had not been giving the students just the coursework that they needed to even apply to our local colleges and universities. And that was heartbreaking because everybody wants to do the best job possible. But at that moment, I mean, they were teachers literally in tears. And we said, okay, what are we going to do? So we started looking at our data, not just national data, but our data in Rhode Island. What does it look like to graduate from one of our high schools? Is it the same everywhere? Does the Rhode Island diploma mean the same thing? And it didn't. So we came back, we brought the problem of practice to our council, and we set out to make sure that the diploma really meant something and that our kids would be civic ready, that they would have computer science under their belt, that financial literacy. Those are things that were really important to us. Also, FAFSA completion, that's really important. We know that when FAFSA completion goes up, graduation goes up, attainment to college goes up. So all those things are really, really important. And we've also had, the kids have to graduate with a resume. So we start building that early on in middle school so that kids are ready, giving them the opportunity. We brought back kids that graduated in our system and we said, okay, what could we have done better? We want to hear from you. Now that you've been in college for a year, you've been out of our system, what could we have done to prepare you? And they gave us. These are the things we heard from them. These are the things that they said they really need. And here we are. We're in a place where it's exciting. CTE is very exciting for us. We want our kids to be able to have a credential and a high school diploma, not one or the other. CTE is very different than when I grew up or my parents grew up. We're really talking about cybersecurity. We're talking about aquaponics. We're talking about building robots that the FBI can use to dismantle bombs. We're really talking about amazing, amazing opportunities for our kids that we want to have statewide.
Absolutely. Another focus of the new graduation requirements are the language courses. So each student has to take 2 languages. Is that?
No, one language.
One language.
They have to take 2 years of world languages because what happens is that they can't even get into our schools because that's a requirement, our higher ed. So some districts would provide it, others would not. And right now that is a requirement throughout the state. And of course, our world has gotten smaller. Technology has made our world much smaller. We are doing business all around the world and our kids need to be prepared to compete.
Yeah. And talk to me about the financial literacy component of the graduation requirements.
Well, so our kids need to be proficient. So one of the things we heard loud and clearly from them was, we don't know how to do any of this. Like, we're going into college, we're getting into debt, we don't know how to manage any of this. We are not learning those basic skills. We're not learning how to invest. We're not learning about how money works. So them being proficient in financial literacy is extremely important. They feel it's important. We feel it's important. We need to set up our kids for success. So all these different things that we have put into the new graduation requirements, secondary requirements, is really based on what we see national best practice, what our kids have told us, what they need to be competitive. So we're really excited about it. And right now we have some districts that are piloting. They're moving fast and they're putting these things in place as we speak. So it's exciting.
Yeah. For any student that doesn't want to go to college, how will these new courses appeal to them?
Well, financial literacy is financial literacy. Whether you want to go to college or not, you have to make decisions. And how to manage money and how to invest and how to work with money is a skill that everybody's going to need. Math, you still have to take that. This is still our responsibility. World languages, it gives you a leg up wherever you want to work, whatever kind of industry you want to be in. So I think that all of these new regulations, new secondary regulations are really important. Civics, we need you to be civically engaged, especially right now when our nation is in such turmoil where we're not, our community has not really been exerting their civic responsibility and having these kind of dialogues and really understand what our government is meant to do and the big role that we play. So those are all important skills for our kids to have.
Definitely. The Providence school closures, the elementary schools, that was obviously a big topic in the news. That's moving forward. Have the kids all been placed in their new schools?
Yes, they're placed in their new schools. It's pretty exciting because they're going to be in different types of buildings. And you know, every year is an opportunity for a new start. If you remember when you used to go to school, I know, getting my clothes, getting ready, there's always a little bit of those butterflies and those, first day jitters. But it is the most exciting day, right? You walk in, you meet new friends, and that's what this is going to be like for all our students, where you're walking in and it's the first start of the school year where there's so many possibilities, and everybody's going to be welcoming all these new kids, and it's just going to be an exciting year. I'm very hopeful.
Do you guys know what you'll do with those buildings now that those schools have closed?
Well, they don't belong to us. They belong to the city. So the city will decide what they're going to do with them. That's really on them. We're just thinking about the new spaces that we have, like Spaziano, which is amazing. You guys have to go see it. William Debate, the Narducci building, which is the old windmill that's been sitting there empty for 10 years. This is a new space that is going to provide new opportunities. I just can't tell you, because it's been about 20 years since we had a brand new building in Providence, which was PCTA, and now we have 3 new and like new buildings just opening this September. It is amazing for our kids to walk into buildings that have air conditioning, that have all the technology, that is a welcoming space, not just for the kids, but for the staff, for the teachers. It really says, I respect what you do, I really value what you do, I value the kids in the community, and we're excited. That's just the beginning. There are going to be many more projects. There's 2 other things that I would like to share. Yeah. When I came from New York, in New York City we have something called the Robin Hood Foundation that gives money to schools to build up the libraries, the media centers. So I came back and I said, well, why don't we have something like that here? Like, what is going on? So we sat down and we figured out through our equity fund how we can do that. So 16 schools in Providence are going to have new media centers. So aside from these new, just brand new media centers that you just have to see, because a library is not just a library anymore. It is a media center. It's a place where you learn, you do research, you interact. So we're going to have that. We're also going to have wellness spaces in the schools where kids can go decompress, where teachers can go. We know that our kids have a lot of new needs, social emotional needs after the pandemic. We all do. So wellness is something that we're making front and center. So we have invested in that in the school buildings.
That's great. I was going to say that's probably needed now more than ever post-pandemic.
Absolutely. So we made that a priority. I welcome everybody to come see, ask about it. It's moving in a great direction.
Yeah, that's great. The special education ombudsman bill didn't get anywhere this year. Do you see value in that, or what are kind of your thoughts? Is that something that you think the state should have?
No. So where it did go is that we have a facilitated IEP, meaning that there would be support as the IEP process. As many of you know, I've gone through the IEP process with my own son. It is very emotional. It is very hard. Well, we don't want to add another layer of bureaucracy to an already very bureaucratic system, special education. And it is our role as the state, meaning the Department of Education, to oversee what happens in special education. That can't be taken away no matter what is put in place. But what we want, and what everybody wants, is for the IEP meetings to go off without a hitch, that parents get what they feel that they need, that the students get what they need at the end of the day. That's what the goal is, and that's what we're doing with the facilitated IEP, and many other states have gone this direction. This is where everybody has moved, and that's where we are now.
Since some of the specialized special education schools have closed and a lot of those kids will now be returning to their districts, is there a renewed push to what you kind of just mentioned?
Yeah, so some places have closed, and during the pandemic it has been even more difficult to get evaluations, to get a lot of the services. So there is a push to have many teachers get their special ed certification. That's something that we have been doing, but we're going to be really pushing really hard this year because, as you know, when you go to the doctor, it's very difficult to get an appointment. Like, everything has gotten harder after the pandemic, and these specialized services have become few and far between. It takes months now to get an evaluation because there just aren't as many providers. So we're trying to work with organizations and agencies that may do some things virtually, that may help support on the ground. So we're thinking out of the box. It's what we have to do.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything else you want to touch on or talk about that we didn't? Sorry, I know I threw a ton at you.
So I just want to make it clear to all parents that we're here to support your kids. We want them to develop academically and emotionally, but we need them in school. I need you to bring them to school. They need to be here every single day, and we're going to push, and I can guarantee you that we're going to do everything in our power to support you. And if you have a need, that something that's happening in your family, let us know. Let us know, because we have a commitment to your kids that we are going to go above and beyond. So this is Rhode Island, this is the future, these are our jobs, this is our organization, this is our state. So we're committed. Let us know how we can be of help, but they need to be front and center, they need to be present, they need to come every day ready to learn.